everyone. What a movie weekend. Barbenheimer exploded, and yeah, it's a great weekend for cinephiles, all of you out there. Yeah, it's really incredible. The marketing that they didn't pay for. I mean, Barbie's marketing was really outstanding, and Oppenheimer's did as well, did a really nice job. But I mean, the pop culture phenomenon was just really something we've never seen before. So that's pretty great. Thanks so much for showing up today. Later this evening around 5, my friend Fritzky, he has a great channel. He will be on to discuss some film stuff. He is currently in film school, and he has a really great perspective on cinema in general, and we can all learn a little bit from him. So I'm just going to start off with the chat just to, get the ball rolling a bit. And it's happy hour. I'm doing a little bit of white vino here. It's really hot and muggy out, so we're starting with that. Let's see here. Hey Luke, how's it going? Oh, well, break a leg at your job interview. I hope you I'll keep fingers crossed. That's pretty awesome. Dementia and Scott, how are you? I'm doing quite well. Yeah, I'm just on this high from everyone being so, pumped on Barbenheimer. I think that's really just phenomenal for the film industry and theaters. And, we've got to keep that feeling alive, So I just feeling great. Hey, Drew, thank you so much. Very supportive YouTuber. Scottish Geek Guy. Thanks for joining again. Very nice to see you. I want to let's see here. I'll do a couple more, and then I want to actually discuss something that I saw last night because no one's seen it yet. Good news, I saw Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I'm sure you had a fun time. There's really not really that many I mean, there's a few things that I could critique about it, but we kind of talked about that last week, and I overall it was an enjoyable time at the theater. Oh, we got KB loves movies. Yeah, I love KB. Thank you. Sup, party people. I interrupted watching your Barbie to drop in, Tracy. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I feel like I came off like really harsh in my Barbie review, but I think I mean, I genuinely loved the first 3 quarters of the movie, and that ending really soured a lot for me, and I don't really know why those decisions were made because I don't know. It's Anyway, we're not going to go there, but thank you so much for showing up. The Master of All Movies Prestwood DVD collector. Very nice. Thank you very much. I've seen you in the comments recently. Thank you so much for stopping by for this. So I do want to, I'll get back to the chat in a moment, but I want to tell everyone, I actually wound up seeing Gran Turismo last night. I did one of those Regal surprise movies, and I did not know they were going to show Gran Turismo at all. And all of a sudden, the main actor in the film, I'm blanking on his name, and David Harbour showed up on the screen, and they were like, "Welcome to Regal's special, secret movie Monday." And I was like, "Well, this is awesome because it's coming out I think in 2 weeks." So I'm thinking about doing a review on it. It's certainly not a bad film, so I'm not going to obviously give any spoilers, even though it is a true story. So, but yeah, it was a very enjoyable film, and it was directed actually by the same person that directed District 9. Neil Blum. I feel like I always mispronounce the last name. Neil Blum something. Yes, I apologize. It's been a while since I've seen anything he's done, so getting that last name at the back of my head is a little difficult. But yeah, it was a really enjoyable time. So that was exciting to see. I don't know if you guys are into video game films. It definitely focuses way more on the actual car racing and not the video game as much, but you do get a really nice intro with that. So are any of you guys looking forward to seeing Gran Turismo? Yeah, it was definitely a pleasant surprise. Let's see here. Rather than Barbenheimer, I saw Oppenheimer twice. You're not the only one. I feel like I keep hearing that, which is really interesting. So I mean, either way, like both box offices, they were fantastic, and they both helped each other. That's for sure. Even if you did wind up seeing Oppenheimer twice and not Barbie. Hey, thank you for showing up. Very nice to see you. I always love your opinions. Oh, very nice. I hope you have a great time on your cruise. That sounds lovely. Okay, best of the year. I don't know if I would say best of the year, but I can see why some people would. And we all like Tom Cruise a lot, I think, to a certain extent. At least his movies. I wouldn't say him personally, but I like his movies as of late. Hello, Lance. Thanks so much for stopping by. Everyone just watching School of Rock and later going to watch Spider-Man 2 and later probably Jimmy Neutron. I love School of Rock so much. I think that's such a great comedy, and Jack Black is fantastic in it. And it's directed by Mike White. So if you've never seen School of Rock and you are a White Lotus fan, I would definitely highly recommend checking out School of Rock. I'm pretty sure like everyone's seen School of Rock though. So but if you haven't, like, maybe it deserves a rewatch if you have. I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. You will be. I mean, I've thought it was a brilliant film, so I think you'll enjoy it. Really great everything. I mean, I'm going to be posting my review. I think in the next couple days. But my goodness, was that a great film? Mission Impossible, cool. Oh, nice. Thank you, Anthony. I remember learning last time that you saw me on Bone Bridger's channel, I believe, and so that's great. Thank you so much for joining us today. I just finished filming a video with both Bone Bridger and John Automates right before I got onto this, and I've noticed that's why I have camera issues because. Or at least my camera dies like as soon as my guest comes on, and I have it plugged into the computer, like into an outlet. Like everything is plugged in, but like the battery just can't sustain it, I think. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen today. I did try to keep my camera off as long as possible. But we'll see. I know one of my past guests, I am Zane, recommended a dummy battery, and that should kind of solidify the issue, or help the issue. So hopefully that works. But yeah, I've been having a lot of tech issues recently. So oh, everyone's hey, yes, thank you so much. That's Max, my boyfriend. Gran Turismo ended up being awesome. Yeah, it was a really nice time at the theater. I really enjoyed it last night. Um, hey Tracy, the trailer for Gran Turismo looked really good. I'll definitely check it out. Yeah, the story is fascinating. So I think it's not like if you know the story, there's not like the highest stakes ever. Like it's not one of those movies, but it's a well-made film, and yeah, it's nice. Actually, and it was on seeing Orlando Bloom. I haven't seen Orlando Bloom in years. I don't know if anyone out there has seen Orlando Bloom in anything, but he is actually in Gran Turismo. I'm sure he's in the trailer. It's been a while since I've seen the trailer, actually. So it was really quite the surprise last night seeing the movie. I was at a wax museum and I got some really cool photos that I published on my channel. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. We have in Manhattan, we have the Madame Tussauds uh wax museum, and that I think they still have it because every time I've walked by it, it's always the Rock outside. It's his wax statue. Uh yeah, that's fun. I keep thinking people are randomly talking. I know. I've almost said Gran Torino so many times. Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah. Absolutely. And Gran Torino is actually a really good film. I think I mean, I might be totally mistaken here, but I feel like that was Clint Eastwood's last like great film. But I really enjoyed that one. Best of July will either be Mission Impossible or Oppenheimer. Oh, you're saying as far as like quality of films go? Yeah. I mean, yeah, I could see that. I mean, I think Barbie deserves to be in the conversation, even though I didn't enjoy the last quarter. Because a lot of what they did was right. And actually, I gotta say, you had Asteroid City, Oppenheimer, and Barbie. They were all really good openings. I know, like obviously, Asteroid City didn't have a gigantic opening, but I think it was the most successful Wes Anderson film at the box office. And I think it really goes to show you that people are so sick of CGI. Like we want to see something real and tangible, and those three films absolutely did that. So that's really it's nice to see that the audience is voting with their dollar in that case. They've been showing the trailer for Gran Turismo here in the UK in front of everyone. Every movie felt like oh, really? That's interesting. I mean, I can kind of see it like them banking on the UK audience for sure. even maybe more so than the American audience. Get off my lawn. Yes. Gran Torino. Yes. So I'm actually gonna, before I get into anything else, I actually did get two Netflix DVDs in the mail, and I thought it would be a great thing to just like open them up and see what we have. And I know probably none of you still get these. We're in the end of the era, as I've discussed before. I don't really pay attention to the queue, or like I forget at least what was added, and it's also my boyfriend and I both control it, so there's like 400 and something movies on there, I think. So we're never going to get through them before the subscription service ends in September. But I figured, why not? Oh, this is Malcolm X, actually. This is a Spike Lee film I've never seen. I know, it's one of those. And I remember putting it on the list specifically because I do that a lot with Netflix. I do that, the movies that you always wanted to see, never got around to seeing it. So I definitely added Malcolm X, and I guess I'll be watching it like in the next week or two for sure. Very excited. I don't know, and this is probably hard for everyone to see, so it doesn't really make sense. Nope, it doesn't make any sense for me to show this. But that one was Malcolm X, and let's see here. If you guys are a fan of Spike Lee, as I am, maybe if you want to let me know what your favorite Spike Lee movie is. I don't know. I'm a really big fan of his, except I hadn't seen Malcolm X, which is blasphemous. So I'm excited to finally see it. This one is, oh, wait a second. My goodness. It's the same movie. It's Malcolm X Disc 1 and Malcolm X Disc 2. I was not expecting that. This is so interesting. I've never gotten that from Netflix. I know the film's quite long. Yeah, it's okay. So it's like 5 hours. Yeah, I guess that makes sense then. I guess so. Yeah, there's two, literally Malcolm X, because I saw it's a disc too, and I was a little confused, but now that makes sense. So we have both of these are Malcolm X. So I will definitely be watching that in the very near future. So yes, so much to talk about. So I really think I would, one of the best things that I thought was so great about this weekend was the overall, everyone's dressing up. There were people dressed up as Oppenheimer too. That was really fun. Every theater was packed. And I really think what's going to happen with the box office this week is I think that all the people that didn't get a chance to see it because it was sold out will see it this week. Like in the midweek, next weekend, I really think that that's what's going to happen, because I mean, at a certain point you couldn't get a ticket anywhere, at least even people sitting up at the very front, that was pretty impossible, you know to get a seat. So I'm very curious to see what's going to happen next weekend at the box office. Here we are, let's see. The game is very popular in the UK. Yeah, so that makes sense that they've been really marketing the hell out of it in the UK. Malcolm X is great. My favorite Spike Lee movie is Summer of Sam. Oh, I've heard really great things about that one too. I'm gonna put that on my Netflix queue before before I'm unable to get those DVDs. And then I think I'm gonna transfer all of the must watch, like all my queue to Letterbox, and then I'll just have to cross them off at that point. Summer of Sam. Yeah, cool. Got KB chiming in here. My favorite Spike Lee is Still Do the Right Thing. Blasphemous indeed that you haven't seen Malcolm X. LOL, it's probably the Criterion 2 disc. Oh, yeah, you're probably right. That's so interesting. It doesn't say on here, but it might be. I think that probably makes the most sense. Yeah, so I definitely look forward to seeing that. Cool. Yeah. So I guess a couple other things that I'd like to maybe ask you guys, because this was brought up, and John Automates, if you guys follow him, we kind of just started discussing this, and it's kind of like, so you had this, again, pop culture phenomenon. What do you think works with doing a double feature? Like, what do you how do you think this could happen again? Like, what genre of film, or like anything? A great question too is anything that came out in the past year. What could you have also seen working as a double feature if that had been the case? Bone Bridger did his suggestion I thought was really good, and that was Mario with Fast and the Furious. I thought that would make sense. And I didn't even see Fast and the Furious, but I probably would have if it had been marketed as that, Mario Kart, and then you go see Fast and the Furious. I think one of the things that works really well is the runtime of Barbie going against, with Oppenheimer being a 3-hour film. You have to keep that in mind when it comes to double features, because otherwise your audience is going to be like completely wiped out. I didn't feel wiped out at all when I did Barbenheimer. I don't know about if any of you did. I did take a break. I actually did leave the movie theater and then I came back. I think there's quite a few people that stayed the entire time, and cheers to you, because that's quite the feat. Um, yeah. This is not all wine, by the way. I made a spritzer, so it's like there's club soda in this. I'm like, this looks gigantic on film. It's just, yeah, or on the screen. I would say two that I think that would work quite well would be Robert Pattinson's The Batman sequel, and then the sequel to Joaquin Phoenix's The Joker, Folie à Deux, because I think they're so different and they're not connected, but they are also incredibly connected. So I mean, I don't know what the run times are going to be on those. I have a feeling the Joker one will probably be quite long, as well as maybe Batman. But I think that would be an interesting thing to see, and I would kind of enjoy that. Then WB, then the WB. Oh yes, okay. I think it was the diversity and randomness of the genres. One campy and the other serious. One short, one longer. I'd like to see double features come back though. Yeah, no, those are great points. They were completely different. And I don't know if you guys all know the story, but it's like, just to keep it short. Um, when Christopher Nolan said he was never going to work with Warner Brothers ever again because of the same day release system they did with HBO. I guess it was HBO Max back then. Yeah, maybe it was just HBO. No, I think it was HBO Max. It was during the pandemic when they released Tenet the same day. Uh, you know, uh, on streaming as they did in theaters. He was so pissed, and he was like, "I'm never making a movie for you ever again." So then he, releases Oppenheimer, and Warner Brothers decides to put Barbie on the same exact weekend as a total FU, which is hilarious because they both wound up working really well for Christopher Nolan. And then I think WB, or I keep calling it WB, it sounds like the channel, like the oh my god, what is that station called now, like what Riverdale and stuff is on, the WB. Remember that little frog? Oh my god, I used to watch that growing up all the time. Anyway, neither here nor there. Warner Brothers then, I think, apologized to Christopher Nolan and gave him a bunch of money. So that's great. We were all just talking about that earlier. But yeah, it is pretty funny how like they thought they were like, oh, we're gonna get Nolan on this one. We're launching the biggest movie of the summer with Oppenheimer. No one's gonna see Oppenheimer. And then Barbenheimer was created. So that's pretty spectacular. My apologies. My phone's going off. I don't know if that anyone heard that vibrating, but that's what that was. So I think Barbie really fits in its own space. We haven't had a lot of pop comedy. If they made a Wednesday movie, it would be really funny to see a Barbie and a Wednesday movie come out together. Yeah, that's true. I wonder if they are going to do a Wednesday movie, or it's just going to stick to Netflix. I actually have not jumped on the bandwagon yet with Wednesday. I'm trying to wait till the next season is about to be released, and I'm just going to binge season 1. I have started watching The Bear, though. I finally started getting around to that, and I absolutely love it. Really, really spot on when it comes to kitchens and chefs, and I'm really, really enjoying The Bear, which I believe is on Hulu. So if you've seen The Bear, let me know your thoughts. I'm only on season 1. I've only seen, I think, a couple episodes. I've heard season 2 is spectacular. So really great. I did finish finally the Barry. I think I talked about that last week probably, because I just finished season 4 and the final season of Barry, which was really just really incredible stuff. I think Bill Hader is he needs to start making films soon, and I absolutely thought his directing of season 4 of Barry was just incredible. He is such an eye. I mean, what he did for so many different reasons. The camera work was just spot on. And like so many times, like you'd have conversations, and the camera would just like walk through the hall, like you're almost spying on them, like the people that are having the conversation, and just let them have the conversation in the background, and you hear it, and you're just kind of creeping in on them. And it was just sorry, that must have freaked everyone out if I was doing that with the camera, but you know what I'm saying. It was very, very, really, really well done. I love his directorial choices. I vaguely remember the Dark Mama. Oh yes, when Dark Knight and Mamma Mia released on the same day. I heard about that. And I think I definitely saw both of those movies in theaters, but I didn't do a double feature. I saw The Dark Knight twice in theaters, and I saw Mamma Mia once in theaters. Yeah, something like that. That's a very similar type of situation. One is a super, dark superhero movie, and one is a, incredibly light female-led musical. So that there are definitely parallels there. Absolutely. The writer's strike was predicted. Soros funded will last for years. The Jersey Shore movie will be what we look forward to as unscripted becomes the new genre once more. I'm not sure. I think they're going to make a decision soon. I mean, I think at least by October. And I actually have to say, with the writer's strike, I absolutely love that this box office happened now, like during this writer's strike. I mean, it says a lot. It's not a superhero movie. It's not a franchise film. It's not the, eighth, or I don't know, Fast and Furious was like 10, I guess. It wasn't one of those. There were two very specific creative projects by auteurs. And I think that really sends a message that like, a computer can't write those scripts. Also, people want that. They want unique voices, and I just don't know if AI is capable of that currently. Not that it's going to really make a difference in what the executives do moving forward, but I just thought it really made a great point during the strike that's going on. Hater is always like, "Hey guys, I can hang out in your writer's room," and he absorbs their greatness and makes it his own. Yeah, yeah, he learned a lot on SNL, and who knew though that his knack for filmmaking was so really incredible. Mamma Mia commercials were lit. I bet. I don't really. I think I was in college at the time, so I didn't have a lot of cable, but I probably saw Mamma Mia trailers like at the theater when I would go see other movies. I just watched K drama Bloodhounds, and now am now on quarterbacks. Oh my god, there is too much TV. There's way too much TV. And I think like that's one of the biggest issues that the executives of these streaming services are dealing with. Like you don't have to make hundreds of thousands of shows. Like you can hone it in a bit and keep some of that money in your pocket and then pay people properly. Hope all is well. Glad to see both Barbie and Oppenheimer doing well. Yes, Commander Nerd, I am too. I am very happy to see all of that. I'm glad they're both prospering, and I think this is just the beginning. I would say maybe Barbie has a stronger drop off. I think there will be a drop off definitely for Barbie that is more substantial than Oppenheimer. Like I think the word of mouth with Oppenheimer, and again, I mean Barbie probably won't have a huge drop off because again they like for people that couldn't see it this weekend, the next weekend we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think Oppenheimer is going to have a steady go at the box office for a few weeks. I agree with your take right now. This weekend felt fresh compared to the past couple months. I agree. Yes. I agree with you, Anthony. I really do. It was so exciting. It was electric in the air. I felt. Wow, can you believe that Barbie has more box office money than the new Christopher Nolan movie? People really went out to see Barbie. I mean, to be quite honest, as much as I love Christopher Nolan, it's an R-rated film that's 3 hours long, and that I mean, it's $80 million for something like that is a huge success. So, it is a win, a super win for Christopher Nolan, 100%. And yeah, the marketing was genius for Barbie. So that's absolutely why people saw Barbie as well. That English actor, Killian Murphy or whatever, during Sunshine, his PR team had him say that he knows so much about physics that he's a confident atheist. Now he says he knows nothing about physics. Hmm, I'm not sure. I have not seen any conversations regarding that. Um, on I haven't seen any. I've seen a lot of interviews with Killian Murphy. I've not seen him say either of those things, so I'm not knowledgeable on that. Um, I think it's low key funny how fast Mission Impossible vanished from the public discourse. Yes. And it's a shame. I mean, I think Mission Impossible will still have legs for the next few weeks. Um, but the timing is was just rough for Mission Impossible. Everyone was focused on seeing both of these movies. The films that came out right before Mission Impossible, I think, did not do it any service. I'm trying to even think how packed my theater was when I saw Mission Impossible. I mean, I think it was pretty busy. Um, it's hard to tell here though, because in the city, it's like every theater experience feels packed for the most part, unless you're seeing something that's been out for a very long time. So, yeah, I think in the next few weeks, I think that there's a good shot that it'll still do okay financially. And I keep calling it Sound and Fury, and I don't know why. Sound of, oh my goodness, it's not the William Faulkner novel. I know that for sure. I know everything about this movie, but I keep screwing up the name of it. Sound of Freedom. Sound of Freedom. Not Fury. It's Sound of Freedom. Big difference. That movie actually still had a pretty solid weekend as well. And I remember talking to John Automates about it, and he said actually like the church he goes to, they actually bought tickets for like anyone that wanted to go. So like people are just trying to spread the word of that movie. And it's continuing to do well at the box office, whether or not people are actually seeing it. So Barbenheimer, yes, it was so fun. We need more stuff like that. Bagface, welcome. Happy to have you here. I think that's more of a symptom of internet brain rot than it is the quality of the movie. Everything is forgotten in max 2 weeks. Um, yeah, I guess you're referring to Mission Impossible. Yeah, I mean, I also think that Indiana Jones left such a sour taste in people's minds too, and I don't think that really helped either. I mean, not that they're the same, but they have similar demographics, I would say, to a certain point. Um, so yeah, I would agree with that too. Everyone's on to the next thing, but also maybe it just feels like that too because you're on YouTube making reviews, and so am I. And we see a lot of movies, and so maybe it feels like that as well, uh, just because of how many movies we do see. That speaks to the film in comparison to Barbie and Oppenheimer. I thought it was just okay. I saw it Friday, and I was still the last ticket sold. Oh, okay. Okay, so you're talking about Sound of Freedom, I'm assuming. Yes, okay. Sound of Freedom. Okay. This speaks to the film in comparison. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I all I know is it's based on a true story that took a few liberties. I don't think anyone's criticizing it for being like fictitious or anything. But I've heard it's like a fine film. But it is interesting. It's like grassroots campaign that really like blew up their box office. Um, I just went and saw Mission Impossible. Cool. Oh, Mission Impossible. I'm so sorry. Mission Impossible. Yes. No, that's fine. Yeah, it was actually I didn't mean to like go over you, Anthony, but I just realized that that's what he was talking about. Yeah, it was fine. My biggest issue was Ilsa's death. Spoiler alert. I apologize, but like that was just really mishandled in my opinion, and did not like how quick that was, and no respect for that character is how I felt they treated that. But I liked a lot of the action sequences, and I just really had a big issue with Haley Atwood. I think not her, but her character was just really annoying to me. So that was my other issue. And Yeah, great. Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to cut everyone off here. We're all talking about Mission Impossible. So, yeah. Yeah, and it's fine. It's like the stunts are always good. So you're never going to be disappointed with stunts with Tom Cruise because you know he likes to push it and make it bigger every time. So yeah, but like any like the critiques I do have as I was speaking when KB was saying, it was okay. Yeah, it's like it wasn't Top Gun, definitely wasn't Top Gun, but uh it was fun. I wasn't disappointed. Um but I wasn't also like blown away. My biggest Star Wars hot take. Um I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'll watch anything that Baby Yoda's in at this point because I've lost all desire to watch any of the other things. Um, I do like the original films. Uh, yeah, I think that's about it. And so if they want to make the Ray movie moving forward, if they put Baby Yoda in it, then I'll actually care to see it. Oh, okay. I would love to hear this theory that Ilsa is still alive. That's very interesting. I know that they've tried to I know, Tom Cruise's character, Ethan Hunt, has tried to like protect her in the past. So, by kind of being like disappear and all that stuff. So, they could have tried doing that again, even though she always seems to keep getting herself into some trouble. But um yeah, who knows? I mean, I keep hearing how hot in like high demand that actress is. So I'm not surprised she was killed off. I just didn't like the way she was killed off, I would say. So, is anyone excited for Haunted Mansion? That's coming out next weekend. I think I'm definitely going to see it. Um, the trailer looks, pretty good. It looks like they really did a lot with regarding the ride itself. If you've ever been to Disney World or Disneyland, the Haunted Mansion I think is one of the coolest rides. I was horrified the first time I went to Disney World. I started crying. I didn't want to get on because I was like 6, I think, or 4. And then when I went again, I was a little bit older, so I was able to fully enjoy the ride without crying and leaving. But yeah, I think the ride is so creative and like all of the lighting tricks and all that stuff is just so fun and really brilliant, especially for a ride that came out in like I don't know, I would say the 80s. I would say I'm not positive. I'd be curious to see when the ride uh debuted at Disney World or Disneyland. I think it was at Disneyland first, and then they, incorporated it at Disney World, but I could be wrong. The Haunted Mansion. Uh, open wide. We'll see if that works. 1969. Wow, that's really crazy. That's really awesome. So we're dealing with a ride that was just so uh masterfully made. The Imagineers, I don't know if they were called Imagineers back then, they probably weren't. I feel like that was a term that was coined in like the 90s. But yeah, so like that ride is just so incredible, so I think it really deserves a really good film adaptation of the ride. And you could see they were doing a lot of that, the trickery visually that the ride is known for in the trailers. So because the Eddie Murphy one is just really bad. So I remember seeing that one. I'm excited to see what they do with this one for sure. Um, okay. My Star Wars hot take is that I don't like the Phantom Menace, and while Liam Neeson was good as Quinn got Jin, I felt he was kind of wasted in the fact they killed him off. I apologize. I'm trying to piece together that last sentence. As I feel Quinn got Jin. I mean, it's been a while since I saw the Phantom Menace. Um, I don't think necessarily that like that's a hot take, just because I feel like a lot of people don't like that movie. But yeah. I wish I had more to add to that. I apologize, Drew. Our Regal Unlimited passes couldn't come. Yeah, I finally got those. I think I mentioned this last week. Thank God. I mean, it is so expensive to go to the movies. So paying for one ticket and then being able to see unlimited films for the rest of the month is really fantastic. Yeah, yeah, and I think that's like a good way to put it because I think the first Pirates of the Caribbean is really really good. The Black Pearl, I believe that's what it was called, Curse of the Black Pearl, something like that. That was a really well done film and a really great adaptation. So I'm excited to see what they do with this. And we'll see. I don't know how that box office is going to do based off of what if people are still seeing Oppenheimer and Barbie. Um, it'll be a very interesting weekend. I'm very excited actually just to see. My Star Wars hot take is the rise of Skywalker that everyone hated is a great end to the Skywalkers. Are you talking about Ray? I which one is this? I guess it's the most recent. Man, I apologize. I feel like a lot of you guys come on here and you want to talk about Star Wars, and I'm just like not the Star Wars expert unless it's like the older films. And even then, I'm not an expert because I've only seen all of like all of those a couple of times. And I enjoyed them for sure, and I really liked that they really re-released them in theaters when I was a kid because I definitely got to see. I think all of those three original ones in theaters in the 90s. So that's pretty cool. Um, Okay, yeah, and to be quite fair, I don't even know if I saw that one. So that's probably why I was confused. Um, okay. I think we have my guest is here actually. He's a little bit early, so if he doesn't mind, I might bring him in. I think that I mean, I think I've been talking so much for the past week and weekend about Barbenheimer that I'm a little Barbenheimered out. But I will be getting my Oppenheimer review out definitely within the next couple days. Um, so I'm gonna bring on my guest. I think you guys are all gonna really enjoy him. He's a really great person. And so we will begin the countdown. Fritzky.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm gonna I do this every time. I should just unmirror my camera when I start the stream, but I'd like to look like I'm looking at you instead of away from you. So
No pressure at all.
Yeah. I'm so happy to have you on. I think you are definitely so well versed in film knowledge, and we always have a great conversation. So it's really great that you're here. And the link to his channel is in the description if people want to check out this young, filmmaker, an auteur in the making, if you will.
Oh, you
So
talk me up too much.
yeah. You gotta dream big, kid. Either way, and actually, I don't know if you guys like want to wrap up some of the Star Wars talk. Are you a Star Wars person at all? Can you hear me? Oh, sorry.
Mostly yes. We're gonna say 80% positive. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna ask you then if you have any. Everyone's talking about their Star Wars hot takes. I'm gonna put you. I don't know if you have any
Mhm.
Star Wars hot takes, but I'm gonna do this really quickly, and then I will be right back if you want to. Here, actually, I think I have to do this first. I'm still getting used to this like solo layout and all
Oh,
that
you're
stuff.
good. You're very good. Yeah. So I'll give a pretty decently big hot take. I know Star Wars Episode 8. I know it's for the most part pretty frowned upon. It's actually my least favorite film of all time. I don't think it's the worst film of all time. I mean, that's saying a little too much, I think, but it's honestly probably my least favorite movie I have ever seen. And that's just because, when episode 7 came out, I was, oh my gosh, I think I was like in 7th or 8th grade. I was, I had been a fan, ever since I was very small. And so when The Force Awakens was coming out, I was head over heels wildly excited. But that being said, I mean, I think we all know at this point that The Force Awakens was, you know, I I think it's fair to say that we can all pretty much agree that the plot structure is very similar to that of A New Hope. And I think bringing the series back, I don't think that hurts to do one and done, but whereas with episode 8 when that came excuse me, when that came along, I think it personally offended me as a Star Wars fan, and I hate using the word offended in general. Like I don't use that word very lightly just because I don't think I'm not a very easy person to offend, should I say? But that film just, oh my gosh, I've never had steam come out of my ears like I did with episode 8. I can't do it. I can't do it. And episode 9 absolutely, in my opinion, is far much worse objectively speaking of a film, and you could probably say that episodes 1 and 2 also are objectively probably not as good when it comes to filmmaking and whatnot as episode 8, but I don't really care though. When it comes to episode 8, it's easily my least favorite when it comes to the enjoyment. It just pisses me off.
You're certainly not alone. So Anthony definitely agrees with you. And he said all of the fans are with you on this one. So that's great. Let's see here. My Star Wars hot take is that Star Wars is bad, actually. I guess that would be a hot take. I mean, I guess it could be kind of, tarnished for a lot of people just from what they've done with the franchise as a whole, and especially where they're going, because that is very unsure at this moment. So,
Oh, very.
yeah. My favorite scene is get on. Oh, so we switched gears here a little bit, and also I think I missed I'll go back to that one in a second.
Oh, yeah.
Maxfield, my boyfriend, says hi. Keep it up.
Good to see you, Max.
Keep it studious. Yes. Frisky, I don't know you well, but I've seen your videos and I like them. Oh, very
Oh,
cool.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
great. A lot of love on this channel. Hello, Fritsky, and then we'll go back. We'll go back to
I
Lance's
appreciate it.
comment. Yeah, get on up. Did you ever see that biopic? It's really good.
I do not think so. Who is it? Who is it about?
So it's about James Brown, and it is Chadwick Boseman actually portrayed him, and I think it's like Chadwick Boseman's like most incredible performance
Okay.
ever. I think you would really like it. Yeah.
Wow.
R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman. um, so
Yes,
I
he
want to
was
ask
great.
you,
He was great.
did you feel? Yeah, I want to ask you, did you feel the Barbenheimer buzz? Did you see both films? What was your experience like this weekend if you partook?
I have not seen either films yet, although I do plan on it. Just I don't know. In fact, when it comes to this year especially, I'm not doing very good when it comes to new releases. Like with Oppenheimer, I'm probably going to see it next week. Barbie probably sometime the next 2 weeks, and I'm just today later on this evening finally getting to Mission Impossible. That's how behind I am. I haven't been able to go as often as I used to just because I've kind of when it comes to the interest, I've just kind of been more catching up on my classics, to be honest. Like I'm fighting like over 100 years of cinema worth of classics to catch back up on all the films where it's like, oh, you love film, but you haven't seen such and such. It's like I'm trying to cross all those off of my list. And then also the other thing too is also like money wise, I haven't been, been able to get out there as much as I'd maybe like to, but I try when I can. I wasn't able to catch them on opening weekend, but I am looking forward to seeing both films. Specifically with Oppenheimer, I'm excited to see just because I'm gonna go see it with there's this at our gym, there's this old guy that I like to talk to. Me and him like sit at the table and chat, and he tells me he served in Vietnam, and he was
Wow.
very small when the atomic bomb dropped, and so he I think this would he hasn't been to a film in the cinema since Frozen, so and that was a
Ah,
long time ago. So
yeah.
um we were talking about it and he said, "Yeah, I'd love to go see it." So I think probably next week, I think that's what's coming up.
Yes, no, that, well, that's a great perspective that you brought up too, because we were discussing earlier how, a lot of people couldn't even get tickets this weekend to see. They didn't plan in advance well enough, and they still definitely want to see either movie or both movies, and still do a double feature at some point. So, I think the box office numbers are going to be really interesting next weekend. So we'll see how it goes. And people get busy, and I totally feel you on the checking boxes off when it comes to classics. And I brought up earlier that I got two Netflix discs in the mail, and I didn't realize it was a two-parter, because I got Malcolm X, Spike Lee's Malcolm X, and it did come in two discs, which is really funny because it's such a long movie. It's like 5 hours or something like that.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever seen the film, but I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Sadly, I have not. But I think with this last week of the Criterion sale, I think I am going to blind buy Malcolm X because I mean, directed by Spike Lee, starring Denzel. I don't really see it being a movie I would regret buying, to be honest.
Oh yeah, no, that's so true. I think it's so important to to have that, like, checking boxes off your list as far as movies that you've wanted to see or you've been told is good. I love revisiting, or not revisiting, but like going to different eras and seeing things for the first time, because they are so important, and it's incredible that they're still there, and they bring so much when you're comparing today's films. It wasn't sequel central, for a really long time, and like all these films were such original ideas. I'm going to go back to
True.
the chat really quick. Um, let's see here. Bring up how this weekend felt fresh. How do we make Marvel, Star Wars, and these other IPs that people love feel fresh? Can it be done, or are moviegoers ready for new IPs?
Um, I personally, I think it just comes down to the writing. Honestly, if you can build upon an idea and just, I don't know, extend it. I feel like if you're building a fictional world, I personally don't think there's a limit as to like how small it can be because you're literally creating another like freaking dimension. Like when it comes to Star Wars in specific, I mean, you have like different physics, you have different forms of life and whatnot. So like I don't think there's necessarily limits, but as far as how well the story works, it really all comes down to the writing. And I'm kind of glad that some films didn't receive a sequel till much later, like such as Blade Runner or Top Gun.
Yeah,
And I personally love both of those sequels.
those are such great examples, and you're spot on when it comes to that. Um, yeah, I think that I mean, as far as sequels go, I think it's okay to let films breathe before you do another one. I kind of love, I mean, this was a very long hiatus. I don't know what the math would be if we compared it to Top Gun, probably a lot, probably more. But like the Hustler and The Color of Money, which were both Paul Newman, and then Tom Cruise was brought into The Color of Money as that sequel. And I can't even think of like how long that had been, but that reminds me as kind of like a parallel to Top Gun, revisiting a role older in their career. I absolutely think that's so true. We can let these films breathe. As far as Marvel goes, I think to make it feel fresh is to not be as accessible and have maybe not as accessible, but such frequent films coming out. And I think they're learning that absolutely, and they are taking a step back and prolonging release dates, because when you have too much of it and it's so oversaturated, then you just don't care about them. It's like, I think we started off knowing we were all going to have to see uh Ant-Man. uh well, and this was actually, I think last year is a better example of this, but you know what I'm saying. It's like all these movies shoved into one year. They didn't feel as special. Guardians of the
Mhm.
Galaxy felt special because it was the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, and that was really a direct, specific vision of James Gunn the entire time. So I think that's why that worked really well. Let's
Number
see.
3. I know, I'm sorry, I'm so freaking late, but, yeah,
Oh, you
I
haven't seen
I
the
am
third one
very
yet? That's
excited to
okay.
see 3, but you are right, like, it's for sure with them lately been, a quantity over quality thing, but I don't know, hopefully we're, gonna get some, like, at least when I was much, smaller or whatnot, I remember they used to be, like, we couldn't wait for them to come out, and now it's like, it's just so overdone. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, now the ones I'm excited for are, I think, and I mentioned these earlier, Robert Pattinson's Batman sequel, as well as Joaquin Phoenix's Joker sequel, Filet au Deux. It's like, I can't wait to see those. Like, those like sound like event part, like not party movies, but, just really big event movies,
Yeah.
the party movies of this summer were Mario and Barbie, and that showed at the box office. But you know what I'm saying? It's like
Mhm.
that equivalent of excitement. So um, Cody is here. He's a fantastic friend of the channel, and he has a really great channel as well. He does really great reviews. And again, I say this every stream. A lot of people in this chat have YouTube channels, and I highly recommend everyone checking out everyone's if they can, or they see one that might strike them in a way that they might really enjoy. So yes, thank you so much for showing up, Cody. Oh, very nice. Yeah, so I guess I'd love to ask you,
Roundhouse
because we were on
Kick,
the
yes.
Nolan yes, we were on that Nolan train a little bit. What is your opinion of Nolan as a filmmaker? What films do you love? What films are you maybe lukewarm on? I'd love to know your thoughts.
Yeah, so I haven't seen everything he's done. I think there's 4 of them I'm missing. I have not seen, let's see if I can think of them. It's Following, The Prestige, Oppenheimer, obviously, and then Insomnia. That's the other one I have not seen, which all are ones I really wanna see. That's the funny part. But Nolan for me, he he can be pretty hit or miss in my personal opinion. Um, I think I prefer a lot more of his earlier stuff, which I know I'm kind of going back on what I'm saying, not having seen Insomnia and The Prestige, but I really appreciate the more smaller scale Nolan, because my personal favorite between Memento, Dark Knight. Those are my 2 favorites. I really like Interstellar. Inception is I would say I like it. I'm not as head over heels on it as some are, but I do enjoy it. But I don't like the other 2 in the Dark Knight trilogy, personally speaking. I don't care for them, and I also I wasn't big on Dunkirk either. And Tenet, oh, we're not even going to talk about that one. I personally do not care for Tenet like whatsoever. That's easily my least favorite. But yeah, so like, it really depends. Yes, does comes with a great idea, and I've yet to see him fail at that. But it's just about how he decides to present it, because I feel like uh, I heard you talking about this in the last stream, how with Oppenheimer's, considering, it's about a real person that did exist, it allows him to make this epic, but kind of be a little more self-contained. That's why I'm really excited to see this film, to be honest, because I think like I appreciate his style a lot, but I feel like sometimes he goes a little too crazy for my taste, but that's just me.
No, I think you and I are pretty similar with that. I probably liked Dunkirk a little bit more than Tenet, and I was not really a fan of Dunkirk.
Mm,
That you know, when that was the same year, I believe, that 1917 came out, and that movie just like absolutely blew me away. And I kept comparing it to Dunkirk, and I felt Dunkirk was just a little self indulgent, and then as well as
yeah,
Tenet being self indulgent. I did not feel that way about Oppenheimer, so you'll be rest assured. I would say I know a lot of people do not like Interstellar and they don't like Inception. Now I feel like when both those movies came out, people really liked them, but maybe I'm just reading the room wrong. But I actually really love Inception more than a lot of people, I think. I saw it multiple times in the theater, and I think that one of the things I just think I loved about it was that you don't really know. You could go down a rabbit hole of like whose perspectives like you're actually seeing in the movie. Like there's so many like theories that it's like Cobb's wife, that you're actually seeing her perspective the whole time, or you're seeing this person's perspective. And the ending where the what is it called? It's like a I want to say a dreidel, but it's not a dreidel. It's with a spinning top.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah. I just love how like at the end of that, it's an acceptable amount of your personal interpretation. Like I hate when sometimes movies use the cop out of a personal interpretation, like, oh, well, you interpret it yourself. It's like, well, isn't that the director's job? But like, to a certain extent. But this type of personal interpretation is really well done and really well thought out. Like that is that synergy with the filmmaker and the audience, which I love. And then Interstellar, I really enjoyed as well. I can understand why some people aren't fans of it. I mean, I think I just also love the score to that film so much. The score to Interstellar is just magnificent, and I think I don't know. I think that added
it's
so much to the
beautiful.
movie.
It's beautiful. It's probably my favorite.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. I think you will like The Prestige. It is a lot more of a focused, taken in a few notches from where he went after that. So I think you'll thoroughly enjoy that one. I'm
Mhm.
gonna bring this one up. Inception gave me the ick, and I haven't been able to shake it. Following Memento, Dark Knight, and Prestige are all bangers, though. Yeah, I don't know why I responded so strongly to Inception. I don't know. I love the concept of dreams, I guess, and what you could do and psychologically, and I think it's okay. I also think I've never seen a movie where you suspend your disbelief easily like that for something that's so crazy and out there. You're just like, oh, okay, I'm on board. They can go into people's dreams. Okay, that like that
Mhm.
that works,
Yeah.
So
I have to say, for me, have you heard his backstory as to why it was that he made the film? Because that I think is the most interesting part of it all.
I'm not sure.
So yeah, the short story of it is when he was in university, he would, I guess the breakfast at his school was free. So, but it would end at 8 or 9 o'clock because students would have classes or whatnot. So, him and his friends, being stupid young party people, they would stay up super late, go to bed at 3 or 4 in the morning. Um, but they would only get like a couple of hours of sleep. Um, before going into the breakfast. Um, but when he, I guess, discovered the idea of lucid dreaming, he tried to, in that short period of sleep that he did manage to get, he said that he would find lucid dreaming to be a little easier if you're getting less amounts of sleep. And that's kind of where he always kind of toyed around with that a little bit. And that's kind of, I don't know, what gave him the inspiration for Inception.
That's fascinating. I've only experienced a few lucid dreams in my lifetime. There was an era where I was trying to help that happen because I thought it was so fascinating, because when you're lucid dreaming, you have full control in the dream and it is absolutely crazy. And it happened naturally a couple times, and then a couple times where I actually, they say you can do things to like kind of help that, but it's very difficult, I think, to do it on command, except unless you've been like practicing it for years. But lucid dreaming is one of the most fascinating things ever. I'm so that makes so much sense now that you brought that up.
Mhm. See, with me, when it comes to filmmaking and just where ideas are born, for me is always the most interesting part of the process because there's always such a unique story behind it. So when I'm watching a film and I have this, I don't get any special features, or the special features are limited, or the director or the writer doesn't go too crazy into like the origin story of where the ideas began. I can't pretend I don't get a little frustrated because I'm like, I want to see where they were coming from, because for me that's always the most interesting part.
It is. And I think I found a YouTube channel recently that I guess they go through DVDs, extras, and they upload them. And I thought that was like the best thing ever, because we do kind of miss out on that so much now. If even if we just buy, maybe iTunes, sometimes you get special features, but you know what I'm saying? If you stream it on anything, you're not getting those. So I think that's like
What
such a
is
great idea.
what is this
I'll have
YouTube
to
channel called?
Yeah, I'll have to look on my who I'm subscribed to, and I'll send it to you for sure. And I probably, figure that out while we're talking. But
Mhm.
it was really really fantastic, because I love that stuff. I love behind the scenes. I love commentaries. Um, any favorite commentaries that you've ever watched?
Hmm. I really, as far as the best one I've ever seen, hard to say, but one I remember that was really good was I remember watching the one for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It had Toby Hooper, the guy who played Leatherface, and then there was one more guy. I forgot who it was. I don't know if it was a producer or what he was, but that one was really exceptional. I loved
Wow.
listening to that one.
Sorry, I have to put this up really quick. Paul's
The Holes
commentary is
commentary.
peak. I just watched that for the first time like 8 months ago. I had never seen it.
Don't remember if I saw the film when I was younger, but I do remember reading the book when I was in elementary school, maybe early middle school.
Yeah, wait, okay, so I'm having like an epiphany right now. Not an epiphany, but like a memory that is has to do with this. And I feel like maybe I've talked about this in a stream before, but if maybe probably Bagface probably brought up holes a while ago, and I brought this up, and it's they did like a music like video to a song, and there's this like little kid that's like 5 years old rapping. I feel like he's not five, but he was very tiny, and he's in the movie. And it cracked me up so much. I like they show them recording it in the recording studio. Um, I think it's online somewhere. I will send it both to you and Bagface at a certain point if he hasn't seen it. It's hilarious. Um, yeah. So I guess I would say then so you're going to go see Barbenheimer at some point, both maybe not together, moving forward. But out of the films that you have seen, because I know you have been focusing on the classics, this can be either, stuff you saw in theater. Actually, I would like to hear one that you saw in theaters that you really enjoyed. And then also just like going through all of your, check the box off list, like anything that really like just blew your mind, or anything that you would love to talk about.
Oh, sure. As far as when you say theater, do you mean like a film that came out this year?
Yes, yes, this year.
Okay, yes. Give me just 1 second. Let me grab my phone because it is not nearby. Give me just 1 second to look.
Anytime anyone asks me this too, I always have to go to my letterbox, and I feel like that's probably what you're doing.
That's
and,
kind
and
of
in,
just the response nowadays.
and in the meantime,
Okay.
we're gonna put this up because he's referring to that song with that rap that I was talking about. Oh hell yeah, I've seen it. my alarm every morning. Oh my God. Yes, lots. Yes, digging up those holes, digging up. Yeah, that's how the song goes. So thank you for putting those lyrics up. I'm having a flashback now. Um, Nicholas, thank you for joining. Happy to have you here.
Yeah. So as far as this year goes, I would say for sure the highlight theater wise, that had to be either John Wick Chapter 4 or Beau is Afraid. And I know, and obviously Tracy and I, we did a live stream together with a couple of other great guests, in the past. And I remember talking vaguely a little bit about that. But I mean, seeing that in the theater, that was just great just because we don't really get films like that, uh, you know, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Widely spread, I guess these days, like with Beau is Afraid, like because I don't have an art house theater near me. I live in Chandler, which is a little south of Phoenix, and the nearest art house theater, as far as I know, is all the way down in Tucson, which is like another hour and a half drive for me. So I don't really get artsy films like in the cinema, really. But Beau is Afraid was such. I mean, he's Ari Aster. Spoiler alert, because am going to have him in. That we are doing a top 10 filmmakers of all time episode in our podcast coming up, but Ari Aster is in there. And so this was easily my most anticipated film of the entire year. And to see it in the theater alongside a very reactive crowd was just fantastic. And same thing with John Wick 4, very reactive audience. I'm not gonna we're not gonna get into my infamous story about that too much, because I've told it too many times. I had a very pretty negative experience with that film, and when we went to the theater, I had a bit of a really aggressive and rude interactive exchange of words with a not so nice audience member. But that put aside, even as kind of crazy as that got, um, that did not hinder how great the film was at all. Um, and it even then, I was still able to immerse myself with the audience, because usually I feel like when you have like a not so great experience in the theater, like it can sometimes like spoil the whole film, but not for this, at least not in my opinion. But then I will also real quick note that I did get to see um, I did get to see Donnie Darko in the theater with a friend, and it was his first time watching it. And I got to ask a question to James Duval, who, if you guys don't know, he's been in a lot of Gregor Rocky films, but most specifically
Yeah.
in Donnie Darko, he plays the bunny. I got to ask him a question, and that was really great. And also, with my parents, funny enough, we went to see um, Terrifier 1 got brought back to the theaters. Um, because of the second film's success when it came to box office, they were able to bring the first film back to the theater and give it that big screen treatment that it never got. And the reason why my parents were so excited to go was because we just attended about a month ago. We attended the Mad Monster Horror Convention, and we actually got to meet Art the Clown, aka David Howard Thornton. Damien Leone was there as well, and they did a Q&A panel together that we went to. But sadly, I didn't get to meet the filmmaker, but I did meet David Howard Thornton. He was a really, really nice guy. But so yeah, my parents were very exhilarated to see that film with me after that. But yeah, those have been my highlights this year.
No, that's really cool because actually Max noticed the other day he was walking by an art house theater and Terrifier, the first one, was playing there. It was like Across the Spider-Verse, Barbie, and Terrifier. So it was really interesting to see. I mean, it makes sense since the second one, I mean, did so well at the box office. It's kind of like, well, let's re-release the first one. Um, you're so right about Beau is Afraid. That was such an epic experience in the theater. And I love that you said you're doing a podcast of like the top filmmakers. and he only has 3 films under his belt, and is considered to be, up there, absolutely deserved on that list. Um, and then yeah, John Wick 4, I agree that the audience experience was great. I've said this before, but like when John Wick, after he fights everyone up the stairs and then falls down, everyone was just, it was just, you heard the eruption of the audience, so yeah, those are really great
Mhm.
choices, for sure. And that's really cool that they re-released Donnie Darko. I would love to have seen that in the theater, that's for sure. Let
I
me go
will
back here
say
really
on
quick.
that note, the
Yeah.
funny enough, the at that theater, it also, I guess, was the anniversary of the Doom generation as well. They're restoring that film, and that actually also did get a rescreening to celebrate the 4K restoration for that film. And he attended that screening as well for a Q&A and a meet and greet and whatever, and a signing. I didn't sadly get to go to both of them. I could only go to Donnie Darko, very sadly, and it kind of sucks because Doom Generation is such a great film. But yeah, that was also really cool to hear too.
Oh, that's so fun. I love that. Heavyweights, Parent Trap, Brink, etc. is peak Disney. Oh my god, I love Brink. I think it's probably like a different generation thing, but Brink was a Disney Channel original movie, um, from my era. So if I'm gonna be 36, then this was like 2001, 2002, I feel like.
I was
And
about
that
to
was one of the
say,
really
yeah,
good
that had to
ones.
be early
Yes.
2000s.
That was a really good one. Yeah. The early 2000s had a lot of really interesting, and actually pretty like well thought out Disney Channel original movies, because there was like Xenon Girl of the 21st Century, and then there was like Smart House, Johnny Tsunami, like some classics. We'll put it that way. We need a poll. I know. I have to. There's actually StreamYard doesn't let you do a poll. You have to like. I mean, it does, but you have to get a third party integration thing that I really want to incorporate for these streams, because I think polls are really awesome for just these live streams in general. Um, I'm on the fence about Aster. I loved Hereditary and thought it was brilliant. Then I loathed Midsummer. Haven't watched Beau's Afraid. Well, Hereditary is like more traditional horror, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So,
Oh my god.
this
That
happens
that that
every
reminds me of
time.
something. Oh, uh-oh. You're all good.
I will let
We
you
all
you
have
go. I'll
things
fix it.
we Um, oh, and by the way, while we're on the note of technical difficulties, I will say I know there is, I don't know if it's connection wise. I know there is like a slight delay. I know we're like news anchors, like there's always this, like there's this pause between we're talking. I think that's just a connection thing or whatnot. But anyway, yeah, I will say it's understandable, because I would say Hereditary is um a little more accessible than Midsummer for sure, and probably of the 3. But I would still give Beau Afraid a chance, just because I would say this is his most ambitious film, is his most bold film, and just the filmmaking itself is it's incredible. Some of the best I've seen from an A24 film. I enjoy Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's not one of my favorites like it is for for most people, but I will say, if you really want to see some really out there wild um insane effects and visuals, um like that of Everything Everywhere All at Once, Beau is Afraid has a lot of it. I think it's an incredible movie. Personally speaking, I think it's worth the chance for sure. But I do understand though with Midsummer, because Midsummer is uh it's a much more slow burn type of film, which I know is that for the most part, I'm gonna say, is mostly not everyone's thing. Um, because this day and age, I mean, I think we're just very hyper aware to pacing nowadays. Um, but yeah, Hereditary is my sixth favorite film of all time. So I personally speaking, I understand 100%.
I made it back. I was no, and I heard everything you said, which was really well done. And I said this in earlier. I film like pre-recorded content with two other YouTubers on Tuesdays, and then I do this, and my camera's battery has a difficult time making it through this stream without dying. But one of my past guests recommended a something called a dummy battery, and he said that should alleviate all of the issues. Even though my camera is actually plugged into an
Hmm.
outlet, like a power source currently, but I apologize. Thank you for taking over a bit and explaining the how great Bo Was Afraid is, because I agree, it is the most like fucking weird movie on the planet, but it's really good. So, I really highly recommend it. Um, I got to bring this up for you.
It
That
was
is really cool.
I would never have thought it would happen, but it was very, very nice, and he's a very, very nice gentleman. He's such a sweetheart, I have to say that.
That's awesome. This is for you.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Um, the only one that I haven't seen that I was or wait, no, sorry. The only one that I have seen that I was not big on was Nowhere, and I think a lot of people can understand why, even those who do like Nowhere, because and even I think Iraqi's films in general are they are not for everyone. They're very out there. They're very they're not crowd pleasers to say the least. Um, so by all means, I think it's understandable even to I think the Iraqi why Nowhere might be. Mysterious Skin is phenomenal, pretty much a masterpiece in my eyes. The Doom Generation is fantastic. I love The Living End. He's so good. He's so good.
Well, he has a contradicting opinion.
Fair enough. You know, but I also
But
see
he does
the
say
I
it. So,
see why people would enjoy it too. Yeah.
um, gotta say hi to Franco. Thank you so much. He shows up at some point. I know it's okay on a replay. I mean, that's I've noticed that happens a lot. There's no pressure to watch the stream or show up every time. It's nice that you're here, and so very thank you very much. Um,
You did make it. So
yes, yeah. Um, cool. Yeah. I guess I have a question for you, which is a personal question, but people in the chat might find this interesting. So
mhm.
you're in film school, and what I guess what will you be focusing on in the next semester? Like what type of classes, or like what's kind of like your curriculum like looking ahead?
Yeah, so this semester it's going to be interesting. It's mostly writing based. I am a little sad on one thing that because this semester was easily my favorite semester of not just in being in college, but even just in general. Like this was easily my favorite semester I've ever had being a student. Which is where this was called the 16 millimeter workshop, which um, my production of that came from it is on my channel. So for any who have not seen it, please check it out. And I hope you enjoy. But yeah, the way it was split up was the beginning. We started late and ended late, but it was pre-production and post, um, 3 stages, and we shot a 16 millimeter 3 to 4 minute silent film in that short amount of time. This semester, though, they're a lot more. It's a little more lecture based, I think, for sure. They're actually all hybrid, or no, not hybrid. They all are online courses this semester, which there's good and bad. Um, I do enjoy the community of being in school and being in person. That's my favorite part of being in school in general, I guess. And also, of course, actually working on productions and whatnot. But that being said, I one thing that is kind of nice is uh, I mean, saving on gas because my school is about a half hour away from where I live, so that is nice. And then also, um, The other thing being that, because I do work as well, I work the 4 a.m. shift. Yeah,
Oh my
last
god.
semester, well, last semester it was a little interesting because, uh, sometimes we wouldn't get out until past 10 o'clock, and I still got to get home, so I got to go to bed, and then I would still be there at 4 a.m.
Ah,
I never called out because I was too tired or didn't get enough sleep. Like no matter how much little sleep I got or whatever, I always showed up. I was always there at 4 a.m. sharp. Um, so it's like that was uh, uh, after a number of months, that was getting a little rough. But the one thing that is nice is as soon as lecture's over, I can go to bed, and it also gets out a little earlier as well. So that is kind of nice. So yeah, but I am looking forward to it though because writing is mostly my domain. Yes, I know the industry is a little rough right now, as I'm sure no one is a stranger to hearing about that. But it nonetheless, it is what I want to do, and I think now is like if you ask me, despite like not talking about conditions or wages or anything like that, but if we're talking about you know what the demand is right now, I think going out there and making original screenplays, trying to create original stories and whatnot, and just launching your own brand, I think this is the best time to do it.
yes.
I also think it's the most, in halfway in the words of Spielberg, it's kind of as far as like technology and accessibility and whatnot goes, it's kind of the most easiest for lack of a better term, uh, period of time it's ever been, I guess, to get into it. Um, so yeah, I mean, yes, there are things about it that are a little crazy, especially right now, to put it nicely. But I'm looking forward to the semester a lot, just because I'm excited to, um, I don't know, hear more because this has been a phenomenal school that I've been part of. Scottsdale Community College, great school. And it's funny because I wouldn't think that a community college would give me, I don't want to say I underestimated them, although maybe I sort of kind of did. I don't know, compared to like say university. But no, this has been a phenomenal experience so far. I've learned so much, and I'm really excited to see what else I can get out of this. I guess I should say before we move on to the university.
That's really awesome. That's so great that you're getting such a rich experience in college. That's really fantastic. Um, so you are more writer based. So like you would prefer to be a screenwriter, I would say. That's fantastic. Do you read?
Yes, I
Are
oh,
there any
sorry.
scripts?
I was just
No,
gonna
no.
say, I do want to. I kind of I want to be kind of like a, for lack of a better term again. I I kind of want to be kind of like a Charlie Kaufman. I want to do a lot of writing, and then when there's a project that I do where I'm like, you know, I as I want to be the one to also direct this. I feel like because he is kind of like that, you know, like some of his films he does really well, but there's also ones where he's like, I have to have this, as the creator and whatnot. So that's what I think I want to do. I do want to direct some, but am I 80% writer based? Yes.
I love Charlie Kaufman, and I love that you brought him up. Absolutely one of my favorite writers and filmmakers, no question. And actually, I gotta put this up here real quick. Um, I could listen to you talk film all day, no lie. Yes.
It's very nice of you to say, Max.
Yeah, no, that's really awesome. Is there a genre that you gravitate towards when it comes to writing?
Hmm. Um, I would say, I mean, in general, okay, it's not what I would say I fully want to be associated with, but horror has always been my thing. Um, I no pun intended. But yeah, it's one of those things where I think just because I owe so much to horror, the least I can do is really try to make something out of that, I guess. But I also feel like the cool thing about not really having one thing I want to be known for, I guess, is the fact that I feel like how how do I explain this? So with my short film I did, I would say it was a pretty good blend when it came to different genres, different atmospheres, different subcategories of feeling, I guess, because I feel like there definitely is clearly a horror slash thriller bit of a feel, a bit of a suspenseful um feel. But I also quite a few people, and I didn't really I'll be honest, I didn't really see this coming. A lot of people said they found it quite humorous and quite funny at times, which I wasn't really expecting that, and not in a bad way at all. But I guess that makes me feel kind of good that comedy, at least even dabbling into it a little bit, could be a fun thing to experiment with. Um, and um, I don't know. Overall, I can't say there's one thing in particular I want to uh box myself into, but I guess while we're on the topic, um something super recently that has come up is that I think, and I'm gonna kind of sub paraphrase something Tarantino once said. But I think I want to eventually direct a stop motion film, a feature length one. And
Hmm.
the reason for that is because, I mean, stop motion is what got me into film to begin with. Um, and, and to this day, a lot of people, some might know this, some might not. But the most important film in my life, without question, is The Nightmare Before Christmas. Because, when I was very small, my parents put on films for me. They put on Shrek, they put on Shark Tale, they put on, whatever. But they put on The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I remember even before I could even say a word, I knew there was something special about this film. Just the stop motion animation. I just somehow, some way, when I was a lot smaller, I knew there was something different about this. Like I just knew there was some kind of craftsmanship behind this that I had never seen done in that way. And I remember being at the age of like maybe like 3 or 4, and my parents gifted me one year for Christmas the collector's edition DVD of the film, and I watched those special features probably more times than I have the actual movie, to be honest, just because I was like, well, if I wanted to do, and this is before, like I said, I had to have been like 4 years old or so at the time. I was like, if I wanted to do this, if I wanted to recreate this movie, what would I have to do? What do I need to buy? What do I need to? And I was thinking about all these things from such a young age. And that is honestly what opened up the gateway to me not just loving animation, not just loving stop motion, but film as a whole. And so because I owe so much to stop motion, specifically with The Nightmare Before Christmas, I think I want to do it. But the reason why I was saying about sub paraphrasing something Tarantino once said is that, I'm not an animator. I've never done it. I've never tried to do it, but it's one of those things where, as he once said, you don't need to know how to do stop motion animation. You don't need to like know everything there is to know about a camera to make your cinematography look the way you want it to. You have your vision and you find people who know how to do it, and they do it for you exactly the way you want them to. And I think that is how I'm going to do it. So yeah, I think stop motion animation, again, not something I want to be known for necessarily, but very recently I'm like, I want to do this. I think I owe it to myself to do this.
Well, yeah, that's really well said. And I feel like, with Wes Anderson doing Fantastic Mr. Fox, Isle of Dogs, and then Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, they're still like people love that. I loved I will say I feel like I as far as Wes Anderson's films go, I did prefer Fantastic Mr. Fox over Isle of Dogs, but I feel like maybe I need to do a rewatch of Isle of Dogs. Not that it didn't look good or anything like that, just narratively I wasn't really sold at the time. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio was just heart wrenching, and I mean, one of the most miraculous things I've ever seen. I did get to see a lot of those little um, I don't even know what you call them, but like the little
Oh,
figures move
figurines
around.
or
Yeah,
whatnot?
yeah,
Yeah.
figurines. Yes, it sounds like not, epic enough to call them figurines, but I guess that's the word. At the Met, oh, no, I'm sorry, it was the MoMA. They did a whole exhibit, and that was really fantastic.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, there's such craftsmanship with stop animation. So I'm not surprised that you're, interested in that. And it is going back to again, I think this weekend at the box office shows that people are sick of CGI everything, and stop motion animation is the epitome of not doing. I mean, they do minimal CGI, of course, but as a grand scale, it is, you can't get more crafty at all, like, at that point. Um
Yeah.
so yeah, very
I
cool.
mean, I have to say, and it's funny that you brought up Fantastic Mr. Fox because I actually, believe it or not, I remember the book by Roald Dahl when I was in elementary school and whatnot, and I read that book, but I, for the longest time, had never seen that film. I didn't see it until I think I was already out of high school, to be honest with you. I didn't see it till way, way later. And when I watched it, it just floored me. I was like, "Holy freaking goodness." I was I don't know how I didn't watch it when I was much younger because, 1, 2 I was 6 years old when that film came out. Um,
And I was out of high
um,
school. I was like 25, I think, when that came out. 23,
so
probably 22.
it's like when I it was crazy though. When I saw that film, I was like, this is everything I love about film, like encapsulated into one thing. And like very recently, actually, it's funny that film. I mean, this wasn't an overnight thing, but that film I think is probably a top 10 timer of all time for me now. To be honest with you,
Yeah. It's spectacular. I love that, you always still see glimpses of, the small miniature models, in Wes Anderson's filmmaking too. Like, certain things you can kind of know are a model, even though it's not supposed to be, but it's like that little, head nod or like wink to the audience, like, this was a model that I'm just filming to make it look big. He does that
yeah.
quite often in a lot of his non-stop motion animation movies. So that's, yeah, love that.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think someone, was it Frank Oz was in charge of the animals in Life Aquatic? I think. I could be
Maybe.
wrong. I know it was a big name that did it.
Yeah, maybe I can check that out. I love
Okay, yeah, off the top
Frank
of my head,
Oz.
I'm not
Yeah.
100% sure.
uh, um I think you're right. Yes, yes.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why I'm getting the weirdest search results ever. Maybe it's because of how I phrased it. Um, yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
that sounds right, I would say, but
Yeah, I'm just going off of what I remember, not necessarily, what I know for a fact. It's kind of a paraphrasing quote off a Lost Highway there unintentionally. But,
no.
but yeah, that being said, um, no, I mean, and yeah, that's definitely my favorite Wes Anderson film for sure. Charlie Kaufman is so cool. Yeah, pretty much. That's how I would explain him in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Specifically, one film that definitely needs the Criterion treatment. I put a submit your answers thing on Instagram earlier today on films that need a Criterion treatment, and I always mispronounce the name, so maybe you can help me out. Is it Synecdoche, New York?
Yes. Yeah.
Synecdoche? Okay,
Yes.
yeah,
The next
that
yeah.
that film. I don't know how it doesn't, to be honest, because that is a phenomenal movie for
Yeah.
sure. I think that is my favorite Charlie Kaufman screenplay for sure. That is an amazing movie.
Did you see the film that came out for, I think it was just for Netflix, and it was a couple of years ago, and it was with Jesse Plemons, and I think it's called oh my goodness. It's about I think it oh my god, I'm so close to getting
Hmm,
with that name. It's like
let me
his
see.
most recent work, I believe. Um it's
Oh,
very
I'm
out
thinking
there.
of Ending Things.
Yes, 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 yes.
No, I sadly did not see that film. What did you think about it?
I think it is there's a lot of stuff that's really great in it, and I definitely think it's kind of one of those Beau's Afraid types of scenarios where you have to rewatch it again because
Mm,
it definitely it's like not as out there, but it's definitely out there, I would
hmm.
say. But
And
I
you
enjoyed
know
it.
what's funny though? I will on the topic of Jesse Plemons. It's funny that you bring him up because I think it was trying to remember. I think it was in Grant's stream that we were on together, where you were talking about how you were more how you've been catching up on a lot of shows and whatnot.
Mhm.
So okay, I know you. So you have been watching Barry. You said, didn't you? Yes. So what do you? So tell me what did it? Not that I don't believe anything, but tell me about that show. Like, not spoiler, of course, but tell me what is this about the Barry hype? Because I only recently heard about that show.
Ah, well, I would say for the most part, I mean, anything that HBO puts out is like j- just phenomenal work. Um, Barry, I think even for people that haven't started it and they're kind of hesitant to start it because there's 4 seasons. The fourth season's the final season. They are half-hour episodes, so they're really bingeable. It's not the typical hour
Really?
HBO show. Yeah, at least the fourth season wasn't. I can't remember if the other seasons were, but I'm pretty sure they were all half-hour episodes. Bill Hader is like we all know him from SNL, a few films here and there, but my God, does he shine as a filmmaker? And like he brings that to the table because he directs most of the episodes, he wrote everything, and he stars in it. And it's such a balance of comedy with such serious premises, and it's so well executed. And I would say if I was going to tell you like just to sell it to you, because it's the premise, I'm not spoiling anything, but it's
Mhm.
literally a guy that was like um in the military, like really phenomenal type of hitman sniper type of person, and he stumbles upon an acting class by accident in LA, and Henry Winkler's the acting teacher. And then that's the most simplest plot, and then there's all these other things that he gets caught up in because he doesn't necessarily like leave ever his like
Leave the
lifestyle,
life
I
or
guess.
whatever.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but there's all these, the cast of characters are incredible. Anthony Kerrigan, who plays this character named NoHo Hank, like steals the show. Everyone's brilliant, especially if you would like it because you're into filmmaking and Hollywood and all that stuff. You would find it you would get a kick out of it. Absolutely.
I do really want to watch it, and it's probably my age talking, but I mean 30 minutes an episode, like especially considering that most HBO episodes are like 40 minutes to an hour each, depending on what you're talking about. Like that's awesome that it's so binge worthy.
You will.
Yeah, for me, yeah, I have a lot on the list because the me I I really only saw it recently, unless I just really got into watching shows, just because you know, I've just film has always as a medium just worked for me a little better because I feel like especially with and you know, I'm not going to count HBO in here because you are right, they are different, but as far as like most cable network shows go, I feel like they always kind of suffer from one of two things. Either they run out of ideas and they kind of just go in loops, or it becomes like kind of like where, and this is, and I think Seinfeld is a pretty entertaining show, but I will say like one thing that I don't like about shows like Seinfeld is that it becomes very copy paste. Um,
Mm.
and so at least I think so. And so that's why I never really could get into shows very much. The only one that worked for me, um, you know, that's the only one I can say that really was the exception, mostly for the most part, up until somewhat the last couple years, was Breaking Bad. I watched that show when I was in middle school, going into high school. And I've watched through that series 4 times. I think it's, I mean, you know, I don't need to be the one to tell you about Breaking Bad, obviously. But for me, the other couple that really have worked really well for me, and I've talked about this a little too much, so I'll make it brief. But Twin Peaks for sure, that is absolutely my favorite show. Oh my god, like oh here's I guess my bold statement of the day. So if I could pick my favorite film, show, whatever, my favorite visual piece of fictional media, Twin Peaks as a whole, all 3 parts, the original show, the film, and then the return, that collectively is my favorite piece of fictional media ever, for sure. Um, and so that is my personal favorite show. And I'm on season 3 right now, but I also started watching BoJack Horseman, and I think BoJack is have you started or finished or whatever BoJack?
I think I've only seen a couple episodes, to be honest, but everyone loves it. So I know, like,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's like I here's my story about BoJack. When I that show it first came out, I was probably I don't know, I was in high school for sure. I want to say, and you know, I watched the first like 5 episodes at a friend's house. We were having a sleepover, whatever. We watched it for fun, you know, for something to do. What's up, Dell?
Yeah,
Um,
just had to say hi to him. He's fantastic. Check out his channel.
so yeah, the when it came to BoJack, yeah, we watched the first few episodes together, maybe like the first 5, you know, just bored, something to do. It's an adult animated show, so you know, us being boys and whatever, we love our raunchy humor, you know. Um, but however, you know, over time, all these seasons, you know, come out, and now there's like what 6, and so all of a sudden, all these friends in my film circles, they were all like, "This is the most like life changing show ever," and I'm like, "Life changing? What on earth?" Like, and they said no. It's like it's weird because it disguises itself as like another adult animated uh show or whatever, like another Rick and Morty, another whatever, but yet it actually gets so incredibly deep. Like, and it's absolutely true. And I haven't even really hit the peak that everyone says that it is, although it is kind of bit bit by bit, piece by piece, as like you were talking about something else earlier that kind of does that a little bit. It's slowly revealing itself, but yeah, hidden underneath this adult animated show, which you would think that's all it is, scrolling through Netflix or whatever, but you know, it gets into life, into like life existential crisis type jams. Like it gets incredibly, you know, super dramatically dark, even trippy at times. It's actually insane how well written this show is. And it's funny because it's like it becomes almost weirdly more of a drama than like an animated comedy show, I guess,
Wow.
like some of the others. You have to watch it. It is awesome. It is
Okay.
my biggest recommendation of the day for sure.
I will. Well, then you have to watch Barry, because the fact that you said you love Breaking Bad and you watched it 4 times, there are a lot of parallels with Breaking Bad and Barry, and I thought about that a lot the 4th season. So
Mhm.
I think that's like a perfect trade-off. Perfect show for you.
Yes.
Um, Anything, I'm going to leave it at this for the last question. Any film, what are you looking forward to for the rest of the year? We haven't even really fully gotten to Oscar season or anything like that. A few nominations here and there, definitely from a few movies that have come out. But like obviously, like November, yeah, November, December, January is going to be probably incredible.
Hmm.
I don't know what your thoughts are for what you're looking forward to.
Well, let me take a quick peek, just because the ones that were the highest of the highest kind of have already come out for me. But I would say, ooh, one for sure. I'm just looking at the list here. Um, yeah, I gotta say, Hayao Miyazaki's new film. It recently retitled to "The Boy and the Heron." I think it was originally called "How Do You Live?" I believe was the name of the original title. Excuse me, but yeah, that film, I'm looking forward to a lot just because especially because they're keeping it so vague on what exactly it is about, but Miyazaki is one of my favorite filmmakers of all time for sure. He's made a lot of my absolute favorite movies. Um, and then the other one, so this one is a little more of a, how do we say this? This is more of a remaster, but it's still kind of a big deal just because of, this is something we've been asking for a long time. I'm really looking forward to the 20th anniversary remaster of Old Boy. Oh my gosh, I am so excited.
That's coming to
On
theaters.
yes, it is, and
What?
hopefully, if you yeah, yeah, and so okay, let me so my spill on that. Yeah, so, as I know, or as everyone knows, that film is, like, really legally, at least, really hard to get your hands on streaming-wise in the US, like, really freaking hard. You have to buy a physical copy, which I'm looking at over there right now, funny enough. You have to buy it physically to legally watch it, but Neon recently attained the United States rights to it. So now, they're coming out with this 20th year anniversary remaster. It's coming out to the theaters widespread. And then there's absolutely, because, Neon, whatever, they're really good with their physical releases now that they do own the film. Now we should hopefully be getting a really good and easily accessible US release to it, because I think yeah, the most common one that everyone buys is the Arrow 4K, but I think that's a UK release. At least that's the one I have. Um, but yeah, and hopefully there should be a Criterion treatment too, because a lot of Neon films are getting the Criterion treatment. I mean, Memories of Murder kind of had a really similar story to Old Boy as far as like Neon attaining the rights and whatnot to it. So I am really excited. That is one of my favorite films.
I'm so glad you told me that. Do you know when it's coming out?
Yeah, August 16th.
August 16th. Okay, well, I will absolutely be there. Yeah, Dell is super pumped for Old Boy coming to theaters. I definitely got to see that as well. I think that must have been such a special experience for people that saw it for the first time in theaters. Um, Nathan, I've always had commitment issues when it comes to shows. If the show is really long, I always forget to finish it. I still need to finish. Oh, you have to finish Nathan for You. Like, oh my God. I'm a huge Nathan Fielder fan. Oh my God.
And
And
your
then
name is
watch,
Nathan. You have to do it, dude.
yes. And then once you're done with that, you have to watch what he did on HBO because they produced an entire show for him called oh my God, I always forget this name. Do you my God, sorry. I'm gonna just look this up while we wrap things up because
You're
I
good.
literally talk about this show for hours.
Well, while
Um,
while you do that, I was gonna say that yeah, I do understand that too, and that was kind of slightly a problem that I was having for a long time. I think even with The Office, I do really enjoy The Office, but I think I kind of did the thing where it's like one day you go without watching an episode, and then I never came back. I watched probably about 3/4 of the way through that show, but I just never did. But it's been so long that I think I want to buy it all on Blu-ray and just rewatch the whole thing because it's been too long, and that really is a good show.
did you get to the James Spader part? The James
Yes,
Spader thing?
yes.
Okay, okay. I actually really liked him on that show.
Yeah.
um, Nathan Fielder's.
His
Yeah, so
little
it's called the Audition. So
Yeah.
definitely check that out.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah,
That sounds very familiar.
yeah. Um, we were going to wrap things up, and this will probably be the last question. This might be hi folks. Hi Radley Stark. Thank you for joining us. Do you think the Chucky 4K collector editions from Scream Factory are prohibitively expensive? I really wish Arrow had been given that license. I'm unfamiliar, to be quite honest.
Um,
So I'm so sorry. I think it's
I
the
can.
rehearsal. I don't know why I called it the audition. I
Well, you're good.
apologize, Nathan. Yes, it's the rehearsal. My apologies. I even screwed it up after I looked it up. I called it the audition. My apologies. Back to this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was probably thinking of something else then because I think the audition is the name of something else, and that does sound familiar, but
That's a
I do
horror
not
movie.
think I've heard of
Yeah.
the rehearsal.
Yeah. The auditions, or it's called Audition. I think that's a Japanese horror movie that is really well renowned. I actually think I own it. I've never seen it because I'm too
Oh,
scared.
okay. I have seen that film. Have you seen it? Oh my
No,
gosh.
I mean, I want to, but I've always gotten like nervous.
That is a really intense movie.
Yes, that's what I've heard. Do you know
Okay,
anything
but
about the Chucky
y
4K?
yeah, so I was gonna say, I do I do have to agree, to a certain extent because when it comes to Scream Factory, Shout Factory, whatever, they have phenomenal treatments with their film. Like specifically with Wild at Heart, or even with the 4K re-releases of Halloween, they have phenomenal treatment with their films with the special features and whatnot. It's like it is if those are some of your favorite movies and there's a Scream Factory release, you have to get it like get that edition or whatever. It's just the full experience. But they are ridiculously pricey, I do have to say sometimes, especially with some of their box sets and such. It gets really like stupidly expensive. And I do get it. That's the price you're paying for for that full treatment, but still it's like, it is expensive. So I do agree to some extent.
I think we'll end it on a couple of these because you were talking so highly of it. Audition is amazing and disturbing.
I
Audition
think
is a masterpiece.
I think you need to watch it now that everyone's talking about it.
I know, and I literally own it. I've just always been scared.
Okay,
Yeah, I
now
just
you
heard it was
have
like
to do it, like
yes, yes. No, I have to thank you so much, Fritzky, for showing up today and being a part of this live stream. I think the chat really enjoyed your input on films. We are all looking forward to seeing what you do in the future. I am also an aspiring filmmaker as well, and having conversations like this is incredibly inspiring. So I absolutely loved having you on.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. No, that was a lot of fun, and likewise was really fun talking with you in the chat as well. Yeah, that was really very very much fun, inviting me on. This was a blast for sure.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. And everyone in the chat, I will be releasing an Oppenheimer review in the next couple days. I do have a Barbie review, an Oppenheimer discussion, as well as a Barbie discussion with John Automates and Bonebridger. If you're interested in checking that out. And yeah, everyone, thank you so much for showing up and stopping by. And I'll see you guys again soon. And see you
Bless
next week,
everyone.
actually.
See you later.
Yes. And check out Frisky's channel. It's in the description below if you have not yet.
Thank you guys.